So it's a pity because I kind of almost wanted to go on and continue with the data talk because I'm going to go in another layer of this. I'm going to go about technology and play pretty much, but just through the idea of location-based social networks, and actually the way that we use our phone to some extent right now is very much a social tool. And so I started with this question, like what is like the playful nature of this networks, these services that we use right now. I mean, I think the engagement that we have with technology is extremely playful. We play to learn and we learn to play. We do both things with the technology, not necessarily thinking about it as like a playful device. We're not necessarily saying like, get me my next toy, but that's kind of a relationship that we have with it. And I'm gonna float around. I'm gonna just present to very quickly just some thoughts, some basic grounding theories of play. I mean, basic structures that are found in play theory, both by Huizinga and Henrichs, and kind of look at, based on these, look at what these services are offering and are like transforming. So first of all, we'll talk about, Huizinga talks about the fact that the nature of voluntary play, you know, we want to play, we want to engage, play something. If you're forced into play, it's no longer play. I'm gonna also discuss about this a bit afterwards when we talk about technology, because I think we are in this time which, to some extent, we are forced into playing with technology, and it is still a playful activity, so we can argue with that. And also he talks about the power of community breeding through play. I mean, you get together, you know. Also, we have to think that he also saw that the fact that culture itself bears, you know, it's based upon these playful creations, right? So we are, the whole structure of society is organized around play, around beliefs, around groups, around playgrounds. So, you know, the voluntary aspect is about being in play. We choose that now we are in this mode. It's almost like if you think about, and this is not only humans, we can think about that animals as well, you know, like we have like this kind of mode, the attention, the look, the feel of it, it's different. So we are in play, when we allow that, and when we are in play, so if you're playing catch, you know, someone touches you and then you have to go after the other. So you are in this mode, you are in this like accepting, you're like receiving and taking it back. I'm sorry, this is not in play. And I'm completely crazy. So we have, and playgrounds are like these sacred areas, these areas where we have specific rules. The rules are not necessarily clear, they're not necessarily like absolutely written in stone, but we have them and we follow them. And if we think at the time, you know, this 1939 is like violence, war. I mean, he's talking about the fact that, I mean, religion, war is play. You know, if you think about that, it's exactly the same thing. So we have a team, you have another team. We believe that we want to win. That's the bottom line. It's about winning. And so it's very much like a game structure. And then he said the same thing about religion, not as a game, but this idea that, you know, we have this sacred playground. In this area, where when we share that space, if it's a church, if it's a mosque, or whatever it is, we have the same beliefs. We have the same rules. We are playing by the same rules. Right, so that's like kind of the time, like really a punch, saying like, hey, that's our culture. That's what it's based upon, right? We've been playing with this and we've been creating this universe. And it is, again, I mean, play allows this possibility of order and disorder, right? You can have this both instances. It's something that is very rule-based, that it can be very structured, and at the same time, these rules can suddenly change to adapt to something else. And so there is this disorder within the order, which is also something that, I'm going to take this off, I'm sorry. And so this is, you know, and this is, I hate mics. Anyway, so this possibility within play is also something it's very unique to that kind of in-play situation. The thing about the part about community breeding is the fact that while you're in play, you share that experience, and that will keep you together even after the experience is gone. I mean, it's kind of a bonding experience. It's a secret society. We've been there. We've done this together. We know about that part of each other, and we keep that. And that's what's going to unite us. So later on, if you've been in play together, you're going to, later on, you can meet people and you can relate to them in that same kind of, keeping that feeling. You know, we share this kind of moment together. Henrik looks at similar aspects, but he also goes into look at the transformative aspect of play, because he thinks play has the possibility of transformation of, I don't know if the word evolution should be, but used. But anyway, and it's also consumatory, so it's like it creates this wholeness. So in the case of transformative, he talks about, you know, the fact that there is this, what do you call it? We are manipulated. We are, and again, going back to Huizinga as well. Like, so this idea that we are in this in-play field, we are allowed to manipulate and be manipulated, right? And this manipulation can transform, can have different consequences, can affect in different ways, can affect the subjects or people or the participants or players or whatever we want to call them in different ways. So, and we are obeying to those patterns, right? We are like agreeing, or we are at least accepting those patterns within that playground or while in play, you know. And the thing about players is that we both create the divisions and we feed off these divisions as well. So we create this frame and we obey to this frame, right, that has just been created. And as well as we change the frame, we also continue to accept and to bound to this new frames. And for that, I have quickly a picture of Citizens' network, like it was a social network as well, looking about like where are the areas that most people, this is around San Francisco, like where people are located, right? And then you can see like the hot areas. And in social networks, we have this same idea. So we are creating the patterns, but we are also being to the patterns. So the fact that, so we know that those areas are very popular. People are, at the same time that we are creating which areas are popular, we are also saying we're going to go to this area because this is the popular. That's where I'm going to meet my friends. So this is like a very clear, you know, not that we are thinking that we are in play at that moment, but we are creating these playgrounds. We are creating these frames. We are creating these structures which we are obeying, which are like converging to them. In the transformative part, Henrik also mentioned about the point that you can, how much you can control control the activity. We have the power to say we start and we stop, right? So if you think about any playing activity, you think, okay, now we're doing, we have the area where we can, now I'm immune, right? No one can touch me here, but the minute that I step down here, I'm back into the game and I can be going back and forth. And it's kind of the same thing. I mean, in social networks right now, and actually with our phone, I mean, every minute that we get our phones, that we take the phones out of our pockets to look at them and to check what is the latest posting or what it's like, we could actually mention that when you do that, you are in play because you don't know what you're going to get. So you're within a frame and you are going for some feedback of some sort that you have no idea what it is. So at the minute that you put yourself out, you're ready to receive. It can be a punch, it can be a laughter, it can be different things. It's how you're going to engage with it is also for you. Also for you to decide if you're gonna like it, if you're gonna comment on it, if you're going to pass it on, if you're going to ignore it, all of that is like kind of like part of social networks right now. The other, and I mean, in the transformative part is also the ability of challenging your surroundings, like about transforming. So again, they start and stop that I just mentioned, right? So you're in and you're out, you are in control and you're out of control as well, because of many things are beyond you, right? So, and I love this Calvin Ball piece, which is like Hobbes asks, so it's Saturday, what do you want to do? Anything but play and organize the sport, right? Because Calvin doesn't like school, as you may know. And why want to play Calvin Ball? Yeah, so no sport is less organized than Calvin Ball. New rule, if you don't touch the 3rd-yard base wicket with the flag, you have to hop on one foot. So all of the things are like they're changing on the go, right? So it's, and play within transformation, within this transformative aspect, it's not only about stopping the world and make it submit to your demands, to your needs, but it's also to deform, to order, to defy these constraints. And this is something about the play, the positive. We can talk about the positive and negative aspects of play in that sense as well, because they obviously they all will have consequences. But most of the time, people think, oh, these are, disruptive forms are always, or there's a positive thing, which I agree is like you embrace creativity, but you have to understand how this will, like, recreate your own playfulness, your own game. And in the terms of consumatory, is the fact that Henrik discussed that we want these moments of closure, these moments of that suddenly we had this, and then we can like embrace it, and we can like feel the pleasure if you put it away. But we have this turning point, something that converges, that gets, that becomes, that we understand as this one thing, at this one moment, that we can relate to it in that way. But when we are in the case of location-based services and networks, for that matter, we are always in the middle of these actions. There is very little closure, if you put it that way. It's an ongoing game, and the thing is, we can say that at the minute that we close the device, the minute that you shut down, not even shut down the device, but you turn it off and you turn it on, and you have these moments that you're like, not necessarily that you're going to analyze what has been happening, but you have at this moment of separation, so you can have a little bit of an understanding, a little bit of a reflective moment towards your engagement, towards the play, whatever that is that's happening. And in the case, and right now, I was both with Facebook events as well as Doppler and all these networks that we like that are talking about the future, and for that matter, even weather, which are not necessarily social networks. Some of them are applications of social networks, but not all of them. But even with weather forecast, we have this kind of engagement as well. So we plan our play according to that, or we create future expectations. Oh, I will be there too if it's sunny, or I will be, we kind of understand, and we like try to create this completion in an outside, in a future kind of perspective. And so what is that significance to society? What do these new networks, these new playgrounds mean, and how are they like affecting what are the consequences of these? And I think that's for me the hardest part, is thinking about like I cannot answer what the consequences are, but yet. However, we can just understand that they are causing disruptions and different types of disruptions. So obviously it's out of the question that they are community breeders, right? That people get together, that they hang on, so if you have, like, for example, events on Facebook, some people will join even though they know that they won't be able to make it to the event. But it's because they want to be part of the community. Oh, my friends, or I would like to be there. And they kind of like will say, you know, and they would join the event, even just for the wish of belonging, of being part of the community. And you follow up afterwards. So what happened? You share the pictures, you comment, you participate in the play, even though you're not present during the play. And that's a very different definition. So it's almost like we're going to have a game, or we're going to play together today. We're, I don't know, 100 people. Out of these 100 people, maybe, I don't know, 60 people are in. The 40 people who are not, you know, will remember the play from the accounts of the others, but they would still feel part of the community because they plan to be in play. And that's very unique. That's something that's definitely something that that's emerging due to the, I don't know if it's due to the technology, but the technology is definitely a facilitator to that, right? It's facilitating this kind of. But at the same time, there is a part of, as I call it, segregation areas. And segregation here, not in a negative aspect, but just in the interesting, because in the idea of separation, because there are people who will be in certain places for a specific event. They will be in play, or they would get together, or they will plan to get together, or they would even go because they see that's where their friends are. And this kind of relationship, like, creates a certain secrecy, to some extent, because you can share things within each other, even though you are in place through a network, through a different, either through pictures that you post, or through, like, checking in, or through different. And the people who don't have access to the same, even though they share the same space, might not be in the same play kind of field. They might not be in the same kind of atmosphere, or they don't belong. Obviously, this can cause what thinking about the idea of what I call urban geographies, which is the fact that mobile urban geographies, because they create this very fluctuating kind of areas, of playful areas where people are, you know, they are, if you talk about Foursquare, so they have, like, the idea of points, they are gaining points, they are feeling, they are belonging to that, they are sharing with a specific group. And not only that, I mean, in the case of Foursquare, and I should have mentioned this earlier, there is even the fact that you are competing with your friends in completely different instances. I mean, you're in different parts of the world, right? And you are, like, still, like, gathering these points, and you are putting this together, and you are maybe comparing or following each other's paths and suggestions and so on. But you are in very, very different, but you still feel part of that community, even though you're not close together, you're not tight, you're still sharing this kind of unique experience to that unique device. So, I mean, so these location-based social networks create these disruptions. They are not necessarily like shouting disruptions because they're not necessarily in front of you, but they are creating slightly these ambience, these environments, these secret societies and secret groups that are sharing this kind of knowledge, you know, in different perceptions. If this will have social causes, I believe it will. Social causes in the sense that how it would define cities, how it will help illustrate even markets. If you think about ambulant markets, ambulant services that will happen accordingly to these kind of needs and demands and this flow. It will redefine terms as coincidence, and we think, what is coincidence right now, really? We can already start thinking about that. The minute that we know people's locations, that we know where they are, that not only that we know, but that they state, I mean, now with the Heiser Court, that's going to become here, you know, like, so the surveys will know how many people go through that station at that time, and they will have that, like, in real time. Who goes in, who goes out, who, you know. And so, I mean, for ambulant markets, this is fantastic. You have this, but for the people who are creating these environments, I mean, we are going to be part of that play, but we are not playing the game we are not necessarily in play for like with them, but we are constructing their like structure, their like playground. Identities of the cities, which might also be changed according to exactly to this knowledge of what is play. But these are just, as I said, I mean, the idea is like just thinking about them as, maybe I should go 1 to 4 again, still, is thinking about the cities as these new playgrounds and spaces, just every space as a new playground where we are all sharing these different knowledges, but we are also sharing and collaborating, playing with each other, even in a regular space or not, but we are creating these little identities, these little playgrounds, which can be like explored in different ways, can be recreated, transformed, and so on. And that's it.
Thank you.